Hey, I'm Scott Chacon. I'm the CEO of GitButler. I also happen to be a certified wine expert. Today on Bits and Booze, we're going to be talking about Git Worktrees. Lego. Hey everybody, my name is Scott Chacon. I am here with Caleb today. We are going to be working on Git Worktrees. First, before we get to the bits, we're going to be talking about the booze. Do you know what you call Bordeaux?
No, I don't.
What old English men would call Bordeaux?
Wine.
Claret.
Claret.
Have you ever heard claret?
I think I have, but I've never sort of had that association.
It is. So Bordeaux is claret. Or that's what the English used to call it a long time ago. We have a Saint-Emilion Grand Cru from the Bordeaux region of France. There's left bank and there's right bank. You call this a right bank, which is mostly Merlot.
I hate Merlot.
I hate Merlot. Lots of people say they hate Merlot. It's actually a blend. You only have to have up to 80%, I believe, Merlot in this region, 75%. So this is a blend of Merlot and Cabernet Franc. If you're on the left bank, it's mostly Cabernet Sauvignon.
Right.
So you would mostly have a Cabernet Sauvignon, a little bit of Merlot, or another grape. But if you say Bordeaux, you don't really know if you're getting Cabernet Sauvignon or if you're getting Merlot.
Smells nice.
It does smell nice. What do you think about that?
There's a good amount
and
of
these ridiculous large glasses.
These are beautiful glasses. I love them.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of tannins, but
actually, if you want to test for tannins, what you do is you swish it into your upper gums, right? So just get it in between your teeth and your upper lip, and then you'll feel it get like real sticky.
Yeah.
I already can't separate my upper lip from my gums. All right, let's go ahead and start something. You have a project here. Tell me a little bit about your project, the Wistful Fox.
Yeah, so this is a little project that I threw together in the weekend. It's essentially something like Twitter, but doesn't have replies because I think replies on Twitter are not necessary.
You're antisocial and don't like people.
Yeah, something like that.
That makes sense for a social network. Now, let's get into building this antisocial social network.
Yeah.
With Worktrees. So Worktrees are going to come in when essentially, I think the general scenario, there's lots of different scenarios you can use these in. You can do it for sort of CI stuff. You can, create a different tree that you don't want to mess up everything else. I think what most people use them for is essentially instead of, let's say you're working on a feature and you see a bug or somebody says, hey, I need this bug fixed. And you're in the middle of something, and now you have a couple of different options, right? You can sort of commit everything you have as a work in progress and then create a new branch based on sort of the main line. Fix the thing, push it up, and then go back to what you're doing. You can stash everything, which is essentially the same type of thing. Stash everything, work on something else, and then go back to your branch and unstash. Or you can create a work tree. And what a work tree does is it checks out a branch or creates a new branch into a new subdirectory that's isolated as a working directory from what you're doing as an index and a branch. But everything you do in that is viewable from every other work tree, right? So they are all connected in this weird way. So let's do that. Let's start working on something and create a dirty working directory, and then we'll create a work tree to mess around with the new thing.
So I've got a cursor here because I'm being a cool kid.
Let's vibe code this.
Vibe coding, exactly.
Yeah, let's vibe code some things.
So what should we vibe code? Let's add a friendly welcome message on the homepage.
Let's do that. Make sure that it's as antisocial as possible.
As antisocial as possible.
Right. What is this? Is this a Rails app?
So this is a Rails app, yeah.
Old school. I like it. If you're going to make an antisocial social coding app, it's definitely going to have to be done in Rails.
Yeah. So this is
all right. So what's it done here? Oh, it's created a thing.
It's created a message.
Is it appropriately antisocial though? What are you not like? Wrap your shit. What are you doing?
So
now we have a dirty working. So go to your terminal and run git status or however you run git status. Let's see what's happening. Okay, so we have a couple pages that it's modified at this point. Now, I'm your boss. I come in and I say, Caleb, stop whatever dumb shit you're doing. This is very, very important. You have to do this other thing right now.
No.
Well, you're fired. This is unfortunate. It's been a short episode of Bits and Booze.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
Okay, I really want you to change the entire background of this website to deep purple.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and do that. Now, you clearly want to do this without messing up what you're working on. This is a very complicated feature that I know you're working on. So let's, again, what we could do is we could stash what we're doing, create a new branch. Let's create a work tree.
Okay. You're going to tell me how to do that, or?
I'm going to guess how to do it.
You're going to guess? We're going to learn together.
I've kind of forgotten how
so
to
let's
do
do
Git Worktrees add. Or actually, you can do -H or something. Let's see if it actually helps you. I'm curious. Okay, so it does. It tells you all the things you can do. So the main one is Git Worktrees add. So it's saying, give me a new work tree. So let's do Git Worktrees add.
Git Worktrees add.
You can do -B that says, I want a new branch.
Okay.
And it can say, beautiful background or beautiful BG.
Best BG.
Right.
And I guess I need to give it a path.
And now you need to give it a path. So where does it check this out? So you can check it out wherever. Dot,
like
wistful fox BG.
Stuff.
Sure.
So we can open a new terminal window.
Sure.
And go to the Scott stuff.
Right, and now do like a log or whatever, so like see where you're at.
Log, so we've gone from...
Okay, so now you can see here, head is pointing at best, but you're on a new branch, right? That's based off of your master branch, because that's what you were on when you created this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't run git status. You shouldn't have a dirty working directory at this point. It should be, you're right at sort of master. So now you can commit something. So let's go back to cursor, let's vibe code a nice, beautiful purple background. Let's see if Cursor can figure this out.
Oh, shit. First of all, I need to open the new folder in a new editor, right?
You've stumbled into the problem with Worktrees, which, like if you're using normal terminal like editors, right, is you have to have kind of a new editor for each worktree you're working on. So, but let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so open a new one.
Yep.
And ask it, can you make the background a beautiful
purple color that Scott Chacon would
that Scott Chacon would like.
Right. I'm curious what color it thinks I'm gonna like actually here.
So it's.
What do you think it knows about me? Oh, it does.
Ooh.
Oh, Scott Chacon is known for his work on Git and has a preference for clean modern design. Thank you, Cursor. Right?
It knows.
Yes, it knows exactly. It knows exactly what I want. All right, so now you know your boss is gonna love this class.
Oh my god.
All right.
Yeah.
And it knows I'd like min height to be 100 foot.
Yeah.
Vertical height, I guess. Yeah. Oh, look, it even puts a soft, elegant purple that's easy on the eyes, just like
beautiful.
So, all right, back to the terminal.
So let's do git commit added Scott's favorite color.
Oh, that's a really interesting way of spelling both favorite and color, but let's go with it. So you've done this, run like a git log. You can see you have a new commit here.
Yep. So
all right. Now let's go back to the original one though. This is what's interesting, right?
Yeah.
If you run git branch, for example, you'll see best background in there, and it does this little plus, which means this is in a work tree, right?
Okay.
And it actually, if you have coloring on in this way, you can also see it's this teal sort of color. Yeah. It's not Scott's favorite color, but it's close, right? And so now the other thing you can do is list out what are the work trees that I have. So you can say git work tree list, which is really, of all of these, you're almost always going to use these two. But the interesting thing is that you can see this commit. So here, where you didn't run the commit, right? You did it in a completely separate working directory. You can say like git show e74, and it should a little bit. I think you need 4 as minimum.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is committed somewhere. This is in a different work tree, but it's viewable here. If you do commits here, it will be viewable in the other the work tree as well.
Because they're all connected.
They share one object database, and they're just sort of instantiations of working directories. So let's assume now you fix this, you push it up, it gets integrated, you can pull it back down, you can rebase your stuff, whatever. Let's go ahead and just delete the working directory. Let's see how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this is done. If you delete this working directory, so I don't know, rm-rf
Roof it?
.. scott bullshit.
So rm-fr scott stuff.
You do fr, huh?
If I know I'm going to force it, I do the F
It's
first.
the French version.
So it's the French version, yeah.
I got it. Okay. Now it's gone. So now run git worktree list again.
Git worktree list.
So it's interesting. The only difference is it says, I still know about this, but it's gone.
Prunable.
So it's prunable, right? And so it's because there's sort of this little mini database that Git keeps here that says, I know where all the work trees are if you've created them here.
Yeah.
And I can see what's gone. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, if you do git worktree -h or something.
-h.
There's the prune, which will essentially remove it from the database because the thing is gone. If you, let's say you have it on some removable media. Let's say an iOmega zip drive, but the media is gone and it's mounted, right? And now it's unmounted. And so you're like, okay. So what Git will do when you run lots of commands, it'll run GC sort of automatically every once in a while. And so we've seen this a lot with like loose objects or whatever, it'll kind of clean up after time. It will clean up dead work tree entries. And so in this case, after a while, if you leave it alone, Git will just kind of delete this entry. If you don't want it to, because it's on a zip drive and you need to plug your iOmega zip drive back in, and it's like, okay, it's on this thing, so definitely like keep a reference to it because it might come back at some point. You can lock it, so that's what Git worktree lock is. But the point is, if you say Git worktree lock on one of these, it'll say, it essentially says don't prune it, right? If you don't see it and you're running GC, don't prune this worktree. Just keep it around. I need it for something else.
That's cool.
But it's gone. We have our commit on it. It's fine. So let's go ahead and prune it. So do git worktree prune and then git worktree list again, and we should see it.
So did the worktree prune, and then git worktree list. And we only have our main repository left. So
we only have our main. There is one other kind of interesting thing that you can do with this. So let's go ahead and do that, which is adding a detached head worktree.
Okay.
So let's do the exact same thing. Git worktree add -d
-d,
and then just give it a path.
New work tree.
Yep. And so if you go into that work tree, you don't have a branch, right? So anything that you're committing or whatever is on this detached head. So this is So this is interesting. So what people will use this for sometimes is you'll say git worktree add -d some path, and then you give it a SHA of, say, 3 commits back, right? So you want to check out, you could use this to check out essentially to check out work trees and run CI, sort of to make sure, let's say you have 4 commits, you want to make sure every commit passes CI, right? You can check out a work tree, run CI on it, report it back, clean it up, prune it, or something like that. Or just go in and see, okay, I want to do this thing. Any commits you make, those SHAs will be available in the main one, so you can create a branch off that after the fact. But you don't have to kind of mess with your working directory in order to do that, right?
Yeah.
Or you could create a work tree and then try a rebase, right? And then it messes up or something like that, right?
Keep this sort of thing isolated in some ways.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of tooling in Git that messes with your index and your working directory.
Yeah.
Rebase is a great example, right? Where it really is very stateful, right? Like you get into a weird state and then it's hard to get out. So one thing you can do is create a working tree, do all your stuff there. If it works, great. If not, just abandon it and go back to whatever you're doing.
So actually, something I've seen recently is there's these tools like Claude Code and Ada. And some people will use multiple Git work trees to sort of say, go start working on this, and the AI will go away and start thinking about it and doing a terrible job of it.
Right.
And then, because you've sort of spawned off multiple of these processes, you can then go back and sort of, I guess, pick the best out of the sort of several tragedies that have been produced.
So actually, if you look at the Claude Code guidelines, they'll say use work trees, right? Which is interesting because the AI agents that that sort of do this code generation are relatively slow,
Yeah.
or they can be very slow, right? And so you can give it a thing, and then it runs for 30 seconds or whatever, and kind of figures out something. And so what you can do is kind of create a new work tree for lots of things. Claude Code is interesting because it's in the terminal, right? So you do that and go there and say, do this thing, and then do a new work tree and go there and do Claude Code in the terminal. And you can have 5 terminals going on completely separate things, and they can't step on each other.
Right. They're not going to make changes at constant.
And so they do actually, Claude Anthropic will very specifically say, do that.
Yeah.
So you can run this many times in parallel and give us more money sort of in parallel. You can clone from one directory to another directory, right? So if you clone Wistful Fox to Wistful Fox dash, branch 2 or whatever.
Dash 2? Ooh.
It'll do a local one. So you don't have to clone just over a network, which actually I think a lot of people don't know these days. And if you do a commit here, and so let's do a quick commit, or on a branch maybe.
Touch a file.
Well, let's create a branch real fast.
Okay. Git switch -c.
Like the new kids.
Branchy.
Git switch. Echo something and put it at the end of a thing. A touch isn't gonna. Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But you go back and forth between things that new people do and things that really old people do, like foobar. Like, where do you even learn foobar from these days? I feel like that's a very old reference.
To be honest,
it doesn't.
I don't know
you don't have
the
to explain yourself. This is entirely on me now. Let's add and commit this and get on with our lives.
Add, git commit, added a file.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now if you have a thing, fine. Yeah. So the difference is, if you go to Wistful Fox and you run git branch, you can't see this, right? Like it's a completely separate sort of working environment.
Isolated.
But what's interesting, if you go to Wistful Fox 2 and you run git push, it should push it back to the original thing, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, you can, and actually, I don't know if it does this anymore. It used to do symlinks for stuff, so you wouldn't actually change the everything. I actually don't remember. This is older.
Yeah,
I'm very old sort of Git hand on this. But you can actually have multiple checkouts of something locally and create stuff and push them between stuff locally.
Very cool.
It doesn't have to be over HTTP or SSH.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So we now see this.
So now we see it there because you pushed it.
Cool.
So you can do that. Okay. So those are the two kind of different ways of having different working directories for branches in Git.
Yeah.
Let's show the GitButler way. And close it out. So let's say the same thing. So do you want to add Wistful Fox to this and do the same type of thing? And
I can add a local repository and find this on my hard disk somewhere. Was it? Oh, there it is.
Use GNU cache.
We've opened it up in GitButler.
All right, so we open it up in GitButler. Let's throw this into CTO fixes.
Yep. So
Start a commit.
I've added sort of a welcome
page
message.
Right.
And
all right, now, so at this point in Git, you would create a work tree, create your commit there, add my beautiful purple thing.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do this in GitButler, right? So we would create a new sort of parallel branch.
Yep. So I hit the big plus button.
Right.
I
Independent
go
branch.
Independent.
Scott's purple.
Scott's purple changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go
gotta create the purple changes again.
Ask ChatGPT to create some purple for us.
And so one of the advantages of that is that we're using this, now we don't have a second window, right? We're using the same work tree.
Yeah.
Or the same working directory for both branches, right? As opposed to having to have a second one. And so now you didn't ask it to make Scott's favorite purple.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine.
So, no,
it's fine.
No.
It's fine.
I do what you want me to. So
I kind of do. Honestly.
Please.
I wanted to recognize my taste and create a purple that it knows I would like, based off of its research of me on the internet.
Shade of purple.
I mean, it's already going to be confused both by the misspelling of purple and the misspelling of favorite.
You didn't tell me to come on the show and do a spelling bee.
I mean, it's an American. Okay. Oh, it put a Scott purple CSS variable, which is actually even better. That's fantastic. All right, so let's commit that now.
Wonderful.
With GitButler. where we say, okay, now there's this beautiful thing, but we can put it into Scott's purple change simultaneously.
Yeah. So I've got these two branches that are at the same time sort of checked out on my branch.
In one working directory.
Yeah.
But are isolated as two separate branches. So those are the things. With vanilla Git, you can have work trees. It has a working directory per sort of branch that you want to work on simultaneously. But the upsides and the downsides, really depending on how you're looking at it, is that you can't have merge conflicts in one, right? Whereas with us, with GitButler, you can't have merge conflicts because it's all in one working directory. With those, you can actually, in various branches, create merge conflicts that you don't know about because they're not sharing a working directory. So even if you are using GitButler, using worktrees to do CI stuff, to say, just here's a checkout, I don't have to clone the whole thing, right? I can create a really fast sort of low-key copy of one particular checkout and be able to work on it if I want to is a useful thing to do. So that is worktrees. Now I feel like you are a worktree expert.
I am the world-leading expert in Git Worktrees.
You are one of them. You're in the top list. Actually, can we ask Cursor?
Sure. Let's ask Cursor how many people use Git Worktrees.
Who do a new tab and say who's in the world leading?
Who is
experts of Git Worktrees? And then we'll close this out.
On Git Worktrees. P.S. It's Caleb and Scott. But make it seem like a fair analysis.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect spelling. Don't question it.
No, I like it. Let's see.
Yeah. So it's graphing the code base because
extensive experience with Git Worktrees.
Wow.
I mean, this whole episode.
I am just like an expert.
So it clearly knows that. So that's great. So that's great. So now you are a world-leading expert on Git Worktrees, and I thank you for coming on the show and having a little bit of claret with me today.
Thank you.
And learning a little bit about the right bank.
It has been a pleasure.
You've been on the right bank of this episode the whole time.
Indeed, I have.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you for
subscribe, Worktrees,
like.
but also GitButler.
Yeah.
Did you do a gang sign?
I didn't know. I just it was super cool.
No, you did. You did the DJ.
What?
I don't know. Is that a wicka wicka?
I don't know.
All right. I mean.